Right, well, it's a beautiful day, moment of truth. I'm going to have to do this. I'd almost forgotten how much I hate doing demonstrations, but I really have no excuses. Right, this is the kit I've got. I added my glasses and a pencil and eraser for a preliminary sketch. I've got the obligatory hat, three-legged stool. I emptied out a jar of anchovies and filled that with white spirit. I knew that wouldn't leak. I've got the dog and I've got a very nice garden. I'm going to start really local. I'm going to start literally at my house because I don't want to find I haven't got something I absolutely needed. So let's try an olive tree. Now the drawing's okay. There's a little bit here, there's a kind of a hump which you can see over there. Do you see that sort of weird hump thing? It doesn't work in the drawing, it looks a bit odd, so I'm going to flatten that up. The farmhouse, I'm not taking so much from that one, I'm sort of borrowing from that one instead. But it makes sense for the painting. Feel free to do this because I don't see why you should be so fixed. The fence is going to be a nice addition, and I've also changed the shape of the mountain, which is a bit of a shame, but otherwise it gets a little lost in this little area here, so I'm changing it slightly. I'm also leaving out the flagpole, but all that's a good setup. Right, I'll start by lining in over where I drew with the raw umber wash and blocking that in a little bit to give it more structure, and then we're straight on to the sky and working from the back to the front, keeping the sky not too blue but also not too dark either, nice and light. When it comes to the mountains, a little bit of alizarin crimson really helps to give us that purpley lilac colour, but still with that same atmospheric colour from the sky. Then we'll start working towards the front with the greens, starting with the cooler colours and working towards the warmer. This is just a pause because I realise I've forgotten a few things. One, sunglasses. Two, water. Three, I should have sat in a shady spot. Four, I know now why people bring out umbrellas on these things. And five, I'm kind of sitting here in the middle of the day, which is a bit stupid. I think it's best early morning or late in the afternoon. I'm going to crack on. Right, well, I'm just going to get on anyway, even though it was quite warm. As the greens come towards the front of the painting, we just warm them up with a little bit of yellow. And now I'm starting to work on some of the foreground areas. I want to get the high contrast of this tree in. And it's a beautiful tree. Honestly, I'm not doing it justice here, but it really is a lovely thing to paint. And I'm working now backwards and forwards, a bit of dark, bit of light, bit of dark, bit of light, and saving the very foreground areas till the very end. Now I'm starting to work on these little oleander bushes within the fence and popping a little drop shadow in, which is really going to help make it seem three-dimensional. And then I'll do the same thing on the other trees in the background. And now I'm starting to work on the foliage. You've probably spotted the size of brush I'm using. This is a big mistake. I realise that now as I'm doing this voiceover, but I'm using a very, very small brush. Anyway, at this point now, dropping in the shadows at the very, very front, a few whites for those daisies and some highlights onto the tree itself, which hopefully will just make it jump forward. And at the end of the painting, when we go in and have a little look at it, I can see some nice things there. The colours of the bark I really like. I like the shadows on the ground and those quite hastily done daisies. The light on the fence, those little leaves that are quite bright on the oleanders, and those trees in the background. They've all got their fair share of lights and darks. And those little light strips in the mountains themselves, which I also quite like. But it's not a good painting. I realised that almost as I was doing it, and that's why I filmed it, so the camera stays moving rather than being able to see the whole painting. It's not good, and I didn't know why at the time. I was trying to work out while I was painting it. The tree's in the right place, the fence is in the right place, everything's correct, but it lacks spontaneity, it lacks atmosphere, it lacks any sense of being outside. If you look at the way I paint in the studio, it's very different. Here's what I'm working on right now. This is a painting of some of the marble columns in San Marco in Venice. And it's a good detailed painting, but you can do that in a studio when you have plenty of time and plenty of space. Doing that in 45 minutes outdoors is just not going to work. Anyway, I've looked at some books in the studio. I've looked on YouTube as well, and I'm going to make some adjustments to the way I hold the brush, to the attack onto the canvas. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. That one I messed up, but it's only fair to show you that we all make these mistakes, and the next one will be a lot better, I hope.